All right, ladies and gentlemen, hello. My name is Darius Anucauskas, and I'm the Chief Market Analyst here at Markets.com. And today is Tuesday. Yes, had a thought about this. I mean, yes, stumbled there. Initially, I thought maybe it was already Thursday, but no, it's Tuesday. Tuesday, ladies and gentlemen, the 21st of October, 2025. Look, I wanted to pick up on the cryptos and just to check the technical side, what's happening there, what's happening on the charts. Look, before we jump any further, as always, let's quickly have a read through our risk disclaimer. So, yes, the content we produce does not constitute investment advice or investment recommendation and should not be considered as such. This material should not be taken as an invitation to acquire any financial instrument or product. I'll give you a few seconds to read the rest. I'm not going to disappear anywhere. So, yes, cryptos kind of have fallen into the shadow a little bit, but slowly we are seeing some some pickup in there, in that in a slight pickup in the interest of cryptos, not on the buying side, I would say, but I think that the market is just kind of, releasing some news here and there that there's an acquisition here, there's like some, pouring in money into this, into that. So again, like I said, it's very done quietly, under the radar while everybody's focused on the stocks, on the stock market, on gold and silver, right? On AI, of course. But look, for now, before we also jump into the charts, let me just quickly mention our Markets.com website, which you can always check out for more information about us. If you have any questions, reach out to us. We'll be more than happy to assist. And also, quick mentioning of our of the webinar that I'm going to do here on the 30th of October, so next week, basically on Thursday, and that's on the Bollinger Band. So this is the third episode in the series where I pick up on the most top kind of used indicators for trading and apply it in real life market action, doing some real life trades on our demo account in order to kind of see if these indicators are any good. So yes, the tune in, register first, of course, and then tune in, and hopefully you'll enjoy it. Ladies and gentlemen, let's have a look what's happening with the Bitcoin side here, with the Bitcoin crypto. Look, I talked about this in my Markets Talk webinars, and I do cover Bitcoin and I do cover cryptos in general in there. So, look, I wanted to do a quick little update. I'm going to hold another Markets Talk webinar tomorrow, Wednesday. So tune in, join in. It's live, it's free. Look, for now, what I'm seeing here is that after we had a great run to the downside here, especially last Friday here, when we went lower, we kind of aimed again for the levels here that I talked about. I aimed for this low that was reached on the 10th of October. Basically, if you remember, this was the post, the magic post by the leader of the U.S. About China, and basically this kind of brought the market really down. Then we saw another move here to the downside, also not very good. And since then, kind of we were testing that 38.2 on the Fibonacci retracement. So now this Fibonacci retracement is drawn from the lowest point of April or should I say the current lowest point of this year to the current highest point of this year. And we tested the 38.2 perfectly. That was around 106,000 and a half. I talked about this level. We pierced through it, but we failed to kind of close below it. So in a way, this becomes quite an important area of support, this 38.2 on the Fibonacci retracement, drawn the way I just explained. And that's roughly around 106,000 and a half zone. So if we do clear that one, I'm leaning towards the current lowest point of October near the 103,000. However, my preference, of course, is the psychological 100,000 zone, which is, by the way, near the 50% retracement on the same Fibonacci. So look, it's a good target, good level, but a clearance of the 106 and a half zone, 106,000 and 500 zone is required. If we can get that move, great. Now, I do understand that, a lot of skeptics will say that, oh, I mean, this is a perfect opportunity to buy here. Look, we had some shakeups here. We had a few issues. I believe that the US dollar could slightly pick up pace. I'm not strong on the US dollar in general, but in the near term, I think that there could be a bit of some signs of strength on the US dollar side. But again, let's see, of course, time will tell. But look, for now, keep your eyes on this little hurdle. I think it's quite important around this 106,500 zone. If we can clear that, great, more sellers here could join in. We're already, if we just go from what we see right now, we're already dropping back below the 200-day EMA on the daily chart. Yes, it's not kind of, the end of the day yet, but the fact is that there are signs of weakness, and well, this is what we're seeing right now. Bitcoin Cash also looking good here for the sellers in a way. Look, previously I talked about this 475 territory, but I think I need to readjust this a little bit. And I think I need to just kind of stick to the 445 zone right here, which is basically the current lowest point of October. If that gets cleared, yes, further declines could be possible. Now, if we measure from the lowest point of April to the highest point of September, which is the current highest point of this year, you'll see that the 50% is kind of we're not far from the 50%. We actually did already test that, but if we do clear it and we also clear the lowest point of October, then well, it's opening the door towards the 61.8 here percent on the Fibonacci retracement, and that's roughly around the 402-3 zone, something like that. So good potential target as well. Look, my shift to the upside will happen if we do push actually back above the 200-day EMA. This is what I'm talking about. This is like, on the BTC USD, we're just dropping below the 200-day EMA. BCH USD, we're already there quite deeply, I would say. So in a way, there is a chance of seeing further declines. Now, Ripple is, the market, it's loved by the market. We're seeing some news as well that Ripple is kind of investing into, Ripple is planning to raise $1 billion to create treasury focused on XRP with the goal of expanding its institutional presence and establishing a digital asset treasury, end quote. So basically, yes, we knew this already like several years ago, maybe 5 years ago, that the big plan for XRP is to actually become one of the main payment solutions and payment providers. So the PSP basically, right, and payment solution provider. So basically for transferring money, So XRP right now is looked at this. It is attractive in a way. However, looking at the chart right now, looking at the technical picture, we are below the 200-day EMA. We have not been, and that's on the daily chart. We have not been like this, like for such a longer period of time below the 200-day EMA. Well, for quite a while now, actually. Since looking at back here, let me just go back in history. Back here when we rallied from, you remember these levels? 50 cents here, so 0.5 levels. Remember those? I mean, that was spectacular, right? So we rallied from there. That happened at the before the kind of the election, or during the election already started happening, and when the current U.S. president got elected, this kind of changed the game here. It seems like we set a new norm for Ripple. It seems like we set like this area around between 2 and 3, and look, I'm kind of leaning a little bit more towards the downside right now on Ripple, but certainly, we need to be very careful. I think that there is a chance of a drop below the 2.18 zone right here. That's going to be my low here. If we do drop below that, great. I think I will consider a few lower levels right there. But I have to say that, if you have seen my videos before, what I talked about before was that Whenever we have such a strong decline and then a gradual decline, then we tend to break to the upside again. So that's why probably the preferred upside scenario on a Ripple could come if we do break this little short-term downside resistance line, which again, it's very tentative. It might be here, it might be here, so you pick and choose in a way. But in general, if we are considering this to be a falling channel in a way, then yes, a clearance of the upper side of the falling channel would be needed. So basically kind of something like this, waiting for a break of this downside line. So again, this is just an idea for you to consider. Certainly nothing is guaranteed, but we're trying to make some sort of sense in this. Ethereum, very quickly on Ethereum, drifting lower, and we're below the 100-day EMA, but we're not actually below the 200-day EMA. So in a way, there is a chance for this one to rebound higher. However, I think that if it's gonna, if other cryptos are gonna drop, then this will drag along, and maybe this will end up testing again the 200-day EMA. So, yeah, just be careful for now. For now, as long as we stay below the 100-day EMA, I'm leaning towards the 200-day EMA. Very quickly on one of my favorite ones, actually, Litecoin. I do like this one, and again, similar story. I mean, I like on the Ripple side. Look, we have a downside line. Yes, we do. So do we have a possible falling channel? Kinda ish, So that's why be very careful on this one. We have like I said, a strong decline, and now we're seeing like a gradual decline. I would love to see this one actually drifting a little bit more to the downside. But then certainly it becomes quite interesting as a possible, investment tool here, an instrument, not tool, but instrument, and it could end up traveling back up. But again, I would prefer to wait for a clearance of this upper side of the falling channel here, and then yeah, we could kind of take it from there. Dogecoin is also in a similar position. Again, we're forming something like this maybe. Let's see if that's going to be the case or not. Maybe it's a falling channel, maybe it's a falling wedge, but again, I don't know yet because I'm just going to keep it for now like this. So but the whole idea is that while we remain in these formations, in these channels, although the overall picture could be bullish later on, in the short run, as long as we remain inside the pattern, we could still drift lower. So that's kind of the main idea right here. And also very quickly on Polkadot, we're below the psychological 3 level still. And now this is an important area for Polkadot. If we somehow push back above it, then hey, maybe there's a chance for a push higher. However, again, I will say the same story, the same formation that I'm seeing here. There is a chance of a further decline here. So let's see what's going to happen here. Tron I like. It's an interesting one. It actually acts like a currency, to be honest. So yeah, it's currently ranging a little bit here. So but I'm going to continue observing the price action here. I'm not going to really do much because, look, for this one to me looks a little bit more bearish, to be honest, because if we just apply technical analysis on this, we look at if this is a range, we look at the prevailing trend. The prevailing trend was to the downside, so maybe actually it's also like could be seen as a pole. This looks like a bearish flag, so maybe that could break to the downside. So in a way, if it does break to the downside, I'm fine with it because it could come in line with all these other ideas, for these cryptos to drift lower, and then maybe after this one breaks out to the downside, travels a little bit lower, finds some support somewhere, and then I mean a really good target in my opinion is somewhere around here, around this zone. Yep, something like around this. There we go. That's 0.25, 0.26. Let's round it up. I think it's a good target here for Tron. However, quite ambitious. Yes, it is quite ambitious, but nevertheless, we do have flash drops. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, let me know in the comments what you think. Do you agree or not? And hopefully you found it useful. Thank you very much for watching and listening. I really appreciate your time, your views, your likes, your comments, everything. Don't forget to like and subscribe as always. And yeah, stay safe. Have your stop losses in place. Risk only what you can afford to lose. Don't overtrade, and everything will be fine. And I'll see you in my next little video update. Bye for now.